afternoon, sir. Thank you for having us here. First of all, we are very happy having come here, and thank you for agreeing to come to us. So the first thing I want to ask you is, what was that tipping point in your life which made you make this transition from a technique to a farmer?
Okay. See, basically, I was working with IBM and as an MNC company and lots of money but there was something missing. So I wanted to do something different. So I thought, okay, let's look for another job and all. So I tried to look for a job, but all the jobs I was getting was the same. It was the same project manager. I was not interested in that. I wanted to do something different. It was around this time that Meena was writing a book on cotton, on organic cotton. And as part of her research, she used to go to the villages, stay with the farmer, and then do a research and come back. And she used to come back and tell me all stories about the village. I have never stayed in a village. Okay, I am from Bombay, lived all my life in Bombay. So I used to find the stories fascinating. The big houses and what food they eat, open air and all that. So it was during one of these interactions we were having, and it just came to my mind. And I asked her, I said, "What do you think if I became a farmer?" So she said, "Why not?" She said, "65% of our country is doing farming. You can also do it, and you are educated and a techie and all, so probably you may do it better." So that was the day when I decided that okay, I need to get into farming, and that's when I decided.
That's so inspiring. So the first person connecting you to the first person you have credited the book or dedicated the book, Womb Over Microchips, is your wife,
Yeah,
Meena.
yeah.
So what role has she played in this? Of course, she is the one who sowed the seed.
Absolutely,
In
absolutely.
this transition.
See, I'll tell you one thing. In any kind of an venture that you do with your life, uh, there is something called as cooperation. Okay, you need to have the cooperation of your family. Otherwise, you can't go ahead. It doesn't work. You might be charged and you might have ideas, this, that, but if there is no cooperation, it's not going to happen. And for me, that was the most important thing because she was extremely cooperative. And imagine and when we decided on doing this, she was not working. Okay, she was not working. She was a freelance journalist. I was working. So, if I stopped working, the point was there was no money. There was going to be no money. And it is not easy to take a decision and say that, okay, we will continue to live like this with whatever resources we have. And also the fact that you have to come to a village and stay. And let me tell you, village life is not easy. Huh? It's very difficult. Okay, you have power cuts. You have seen the road, bad infrastructure, and the village life. There's no help here. You don't have people to help you. There is no Swiggy, Zomato. Nothing is there. Okay, so it's quite a tough life here. Okay, and to agree to come from the city to live here is definitely something which he has done, which has helped me because that gives me the encouragement to go ahead. So that's very important. That's why I've dedicated the book.
Absolutely. And how did your friends and your extended family and your relatives react? As in support, criticism, people were supportive?
Yeah, I'll tell you, when I first thought about this idea that I would become a farmer, like normal, what do? First thing you do is go and talk to your friends.
Yeah.
So I went to IBM, to where I was working at that time, and got all my friends together and I told them that, भाई मैं ऐसा आइडिया निकालता हूँ, मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि नौकरी छोड़ देगा और फार्मिंग करेगा. You won't believe it, not a single person said it was stupid. Not a single person. They all said, Venkat, superb यार, you go ahead, हम लोग हैं तेरे साथ. I said, अरे यार, if it is such a good idea, then why don't you do it? यार मेरे को क्यों बोल रहे हो? मेरे को क्यों आगे रखा मार रहे हो? So then they had all their excuses. One said, अरे यार मैं अभी 2 BHK लिया यार, अब EMI बन रहा है. Another said, मेरा डैडी हमेशा बीमार रहता है यार, तो उसको तो डॉक्टर के पास लेके जाना होता है. Third guy said, अरे मेरा लड़का किधर जाता है मालूम है क्या? अंबानी स्कूल. और फीस कितना है तेरे को मालूम है क्या? मैं क्या नौकरी छोड़ेगा यार? So that's when I realized that every one of them wants to break free. You understand? But something is holding them back. So that's the thing. So not a single person said no, don't do it, it's a stupid idea. They all said it is good. As far as my family was concerned, I told my mother, and from childhood, my mother knows that what I say, I do. I've always been a stubborn kid. So she said, okay, fine. If you feel that is good, you go ahead. And as far as Meena was concerned, she was with me. So I had my friends, I had my family. So that was the support.
Excellent. Anything that you remember from your initial days as a farmer, now that you are into it for almost a decade, more than a decade, but your initial days as a farmer, anything that you remember from?
See, there are a lot of things that I remember from my initial farming days, and that is one of the reasons why I wrote the book Moong Over Microchips, which has the entire story of how I moved from the city to the farming and started staying in the village. So one of the most important things that hit me when I came to the village was the silence and darkness.
Which unfortunately is no longer there because of blaring loudspeaker
Music.
religious.
So that was the thing that was the most glaring part, because I was not used to it. Because that when you switch off lights in Bombay, you think you have switched off lights, but actually there is a lot of light. The advertisement or the street lamp and all. But here in the village, when you switch off the light, it is actually switch off. There is nothing. You can't see even in front of you. So that was the first experience which was very unnerving and took me time to get over it.
So while I was reading your book, I actually read your book during the Diwali vacation because Tushar sir gave me the opportunity of interviewing. So I said I better read the book and go. I should not. So then I came across this place where you have said initially you felt fearful and then you made peace